The best device from Samsung goes head-to-head against the best that Huawei has to offer. This is a speed test between 5nm processed node monsters, but which one will come out on top? The S21 Ultra has Qualcomm's latest flagship chipset, the Snapdragon 888, while the Mate 40 Pro is running HiSilicon's latest and greatest Kirin 9000 chip. Other than that, their specs are pretty similar. They both have LPDDR5 RAM, though the Samsung has 12GB of it, the Huawei just has 8, and they both have UFS 3.1 storage. They've both been updated to their latest available software. The Samsung has One UI 3.1 skinned over Android 11, and the Huawei has EMUI 11 skinned over Android 10. The Samsung has a 120Hz refresh rate, which we're going to enable here, and the Huawei has 90Hz. They both have an option of WQHD+, so we're going to enable it on both devices here. I'm not going to be enabling enhanced processing on the Samsung since the last speed test I did with it actually caused more errors than it actually gave in performance, while we're going to be enabling performance mode on the Huawei since it does such a great job. We have made sure to disable all forms of battery optimizations within all the 20 apps that we'll be running through today, as well as leave the animation scales set to 1x on both devices in developer options. Round 1 will be all about boot fingerprints and face unlock, round 2 initial opening app speed, and round 3 all about RAM management. Using my fingers over here, so we're going to pop GoPro footage to the bottom left hand corner for accuracy. This is TechNick, and without further ado, let's go. We're going to kickstart things off here in round 1 with a simple boot to see which one can power on quicker than the other. It is indeed the Huawei with 22.5 seconds as opposed to 24.5 seconds on the Samsung, getting the Huawei its first point. Going into the home screen, refreshing the app icons, the Huawei picks up its second point over there. Now we're testing the under display fingerprint sensor. We have optical on the Huawei and ultrasonic version 2 Gen 2 on the Samsung, and the Samsung is clearly quicker every single time over here, picking up its first point in round 1. 3 out of 3 wins there. Testing out the 3D facial recognition system on the Huawei as opposed to the 2D one on the Samsung, the Huawei was faster every single time here, picking up its third and final point in round 1 as opposed to Samsung's 1 point, making sure that we hooked up to the same Wi-Fi network, max brightness performance mode on the Huawei, and making sure that we have all apps closed in the background. The Huawei opens up its first system app settings quicker than the Samsung, and calculator its second system app here, now making it 2 points for the Huawei as opposed to 0 points on the Samsung in round 2. Going into our next system app, our third one here is the camera app. Jumping into that one, the Huawei Mate 40 Pro opened it up slightly quicker than that of the S21 Ultra, and flipping to the selfie cam, never seen this before, it was too close to call. Taking the snap, the Huawei actually took it quicker, but the Samsung saved its gallery quicker, so no point was allocated that time around. And going into the gallery to find that picture, the Samsung opened up the app quicker, and it opened up the photo quicker as well. Now 2 points on the Samsung as opposed to 3 on the Huawei. Going into our first non-system app, Photoshop Express, a photo editing app, the Samsung opened up the app quicker, now making it 3 points for 3 on both sides. Samsung now taking the lead with its 4th point after opening up the photo in Photoshop Express, slightly quicker than that of the Huawei. Now we're going to save these both to gallery using UFS 3.1 storage on both devices. The Huawei saved it, it's set at the bottom of the screen, saves to gallery quicker than it's set at the bottom of the screen on the Samsung, picking up its 4th point in round 2, making it 4 points each. So far so good on both devices. What's going to happen with Adobe Rush over here? Premiere Rush, a video editing app by Adobe. The S21 Ultra opens up the app slightly quicker. Going into the actual clip, the S21 Ultra opens that up quicker. Now 6 points, 2 point lead over the Huawei. We're going to export this 4K 25 frames per second clip. We're going to compress it down to 1080p, match the frame rate of 25 FPS, hit export. I'm not going to speed things up over here. I'm going to leave it at 100%, as you can see, bottom right hand corner, real time. Which one is going to take the cake over here? Which one is it going to be? And it is indeed the S21 Ultra with 9 seconds as opposed to 10 seconds on the Mate 40 Pro. So just a 1 second difference. Doesn't make much of a difference in terms of such a short rendering clip, but if you render a much larger file, then the Samsung will be noticeably different. It was too close to call when opening up Spotify and going into Astral VPN, since we need a VPN here in China to jump into the rest of the apps in the speed test. The Mate 40 Pro opened it up slightly quicker, getting it its 5th point, and it was too close to call when turning the VPN on. Going to our first app that we need a VPN for here is Google Chrome, which strangely the Mate 40 Pro opens up quicker even though it lacks Google services. And our next app is Facebook. Jumping into that one, the Huawei Mate 40 Pro actually opens it up quicker. The Samsung loads the page quicker, so no point was allocated this time around. Just a 1 point difference with the lead edging toward the S21 Ultra. Going into Instagram, once again, way too close to call. No point allocated that time around. Next app is Twitter. Jumping into this one, the S21 Ultra was slightly quicker, getting it its 8th point, now 2 point lead over the Huawei Mate 40 Pro. And bear in mind that the Mate 40 Pro is actually more expensive in most countries compared to the S21 Ultra, and it is slightly older. Mate 40 Pro, once again, very strange that the non-Google centric device opens up YouTube slightly quicker than the S21 Ultra, and it finds me on YouTube quicker than that of the S21 Ultra Ultra as well. We are hooked to the same Wi-Fi network and we are hooked to the same VPN, so it's all about speed here. The Mate 40 Pro also goes into my profile quicker, and it opens and plays the video and loads the page faster as well, picking up its 10th point now with a 2-point lead over the S21 Ultra. How the tables have turned. The next app is Netflix. Jumping into that one, the Mate 40 Pro opens it up quicker, and it was too close to call when going into my profile. Now 11 points for the Huawei as opposed to 8 on the S21 Ultra. Going into our first Geekbench, our first benchmark here is Geekbench version 5. This is version 5.3.2. Which one is going to take the cake? It is the Mate 40 Pro with 2 minutes and 38 seconds as opposed to 2 minutes and 43.5 seconds on the S21 Ultra. We have a high single core on the Samsung, but a higher multi-core score on the Huawei Mate 40 Pro. Very interesting. Next benchmark app here is a 3D Mark. We're going to be jumping through the wildlife, not the stress test, just the 1 minute version to see which one can power through it quicker than the other. We're not really focusing on score here. We're just focusing on which one can finish quicker, and it is the Huawei, and it had a bigger score and it had a higher frames per second count as well. 1 minute 12 seconds as opposed to 1 minute 13 seconds on the S21 Ultra, but it did have a much better score that time around. 13 points for the Huawei, now a 5-point lead over the Samsung. Things have really changed around here. Opening up our first game of 4 here, Subway Surfers. Once again, the Huawei Mate 40 Pro picking up its 14th point now with a 6-point lead over the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Going into our second game here is Temple Run 2, speeding it up, bottom right hand corner, slowing it back down. This time it is now the S21 Ultra picking up its 9th points as opposed to the 14 on the Huawei Mate 40 Pro. Second last game here, second last app of the 20, Among Us. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Great game. Going into it, the S21 Ultra picks up its 10th point, its first double-digit score of this test. Now just 4 points behind the Mate 40 Pro, but no matter what happens with the last game here, PUBG Mobile, it cannot trump the Mate 40 Pro since it has such a high lead. Which one is going to take the cake? It is the S21 Ultra opening up PUBG Mobile in just 15 seconds as opposed to 18 seconds on the Mate 40 Pro. Closing off round 2 with 14 points on the Mate 40 Pro as opposed to 11 on the S21 Ultra. Testing out RAM management here now. The enhanced processing is off, which could have affected RAM management in my last speed test. It's off now, and it's still killing apps. The Huawei has now kept 2 apps open while the Samsung has killed those apps. Now 3 apps opening after opening up Rush, and going into Spotify, the Samsung surprisingly kept it open. Going into Astral, both of them kept it open. You've also got to remember that the Samsung has 12 gigs of RAM. The Huawei has 8 gigs of RAM. I've said it for so many years now. The difference between 8 and 12 gigs of RAM is so slim, neither of these devices should have any problem keeping just 20 apps open in the background. Phones with better RAM management and RAM optimizations within their software and their hardware can keep 20 apps open just with 4 or 6 gigs of RAM. So it's surprising to see that the Samsung has killed 5 apps, which the Huawei has kept open. And also bear in mind that the Huawei has kept every single app open over here with a 5-point lead in round 3 as opposed to 0 on the S21 Ultra. Closing off round 3 with a lead toward the Huawei Mate 40 Pro. Total score here at 12 points for the S21 Ultra as opposed to 22 points on the Huawei Mate 40 Pro. If we just focus on raw performance, raw speed, round 2 here, 11 points for the S21 Ultra as opposed to 14 points on the Mate 40 Pro. So when it comes down to speed, there's not a huge difference here, but there is a slight difference in price and of course software if you're willing to give up Google services on the Huawei. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it. Make sure to smash that subscribe button if you've yet to do so. This is TechNick, and I'll see you in the next one.